What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of the 10-minute Touch Warmup on the On the Floor with Liv and Core podcast. I'm Core, that's Liv, and on this episode, we have a very special guest. We have assistant coach from Michigan State University, Nicole Curler Jones. We call her Curler. Thanks so much for being on here. We're so
Oh,
happy
thank
you're
you.
here.
I'm so excited.
Oh, okay, Curler. The amount of times we've talked about you being the leotard queen, you can imagine how we're going to talk about you being the leotard queen on this episode. But we have other questions for you too.
I know you guys make me sweat with all the talk about how great the Leos are. I'm always worried about the next one to come out.
Yeah,
So,
but then the next one comes out and it tops the other ones. I'm like, how did she
thank
do
you.
that?
How does she do it?
I I try to push the envelope a little bit. I feel like this year we did a little bit with design, but obviously we can go into that as you
Oh
guys
my
have
gosh.
questions. But
Oh, yeah.
Crazy.
always try to do
Okay.
something unique and different, but also stay true to Michigan State. So
Well,
it's
it's work.
hard.
It's what
Thank you.
you're crushing it. Okay. We're starting the clock. Are you guys
Okay.
ready? Here
All
we
right,
go.
let's do it.
10-minute touch warm up, the
Do
longest
it.
warm up of your entire life. Ready,
Woo!
set, go. Okay. I can just imagine like one of the Michigan State girls running down the ball runway as we're
Right now.
Yeah,
Yes, I'm
right now.
ready.
Um, okay, Curler. So you guys came in hot, had a little bit of a moment in the middle of your season, and then this postseason, you have been just crushing it. And now you have earned your way to the national championship this week in Fort Worth, Texas. I'm sure you guys are over the moon, but give us like a very brief rundown of how you guys are feeling heading into nationals this week in Fort Worth.
Oh my gosh. Obviously, this has been a huge goal for our program for a while now. I think it's always been the vision and the dream of where, we've wanted this program to go. I think of even being a student athlete, like I got to go to the national championships as an individual, but even then wanting to be there with the entire team and, winning Big Ten championships, that's always been kind of like the dream and the goal for Michigan State Gymnastics. So to be able to obviously continue to check those boxes and obviously this huge one of making the Elite Eight is incredible. Kind of hard to put into words and, kind of like a little pinch me moment. Like, is this really real? Yeah, I think that's been kind of the biggest thing in the last week or not even week yet. But I don't even know if it'll really hit me personally until we're there and everybody's there. But definitely a huge goal. We're all on cloud nine and just super proud of the team. I think one of the things we really talked to them once we got back into the gym after the weekend was just how fearless they competed. That was something that I don't think that we have done in a regional championship up until this point. I think it was always a little bit of kind of that fear of failure, a little bit, or like now there was this expectation of Michigan State gymnastics was kind of like they should be at the national championship. They're good enough to be at the national championship. And that expectation is different than what we had ever really felt before. And so, instead of kind of tuning that out, I think that's something that we really worked on and talked about a little bit more this year so that, when we hit regional finals, it was, let's be fearless. We really do have nothing to lose and compete fearless. You guys have earned it. You guys have put in the work to feel really confident in your capabilities and what you're doing. So let's just own it and have a good time. And look at the outcome, right? Could not have asked for more on
Yeah.
either day of competition.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're on cloud nine. We could not be more excited to be going to the national championship. And, for us, we always knew that we were totally capable in terms of talent on the roster. And so we knew that once we kind of got over that hump of, getting to the national championship, that we really could be one of the last teams on the floor. So, now that we've been able to check that box, we kind of now have a new focus. It's not, just kind of get there. We want to really get there and be normal and compete to our true potential and see where that lands us.
I love it. I literally have had chills the entire time that you've been
Yes.
talking. It's so
Oh,
special. It's so, so special.
I
it
love
really
that you
is. It's
talked
so cool.
about competing like confidently and aggressively because I would agree the last couple years everyone's like Michigan State and I think it's just a lot when you get to regionals and that's it. And this year from the beginning I felt like this team completely had a different there was no fear of failure. It was just balls to the walls, go for it, energy. And someone that I think deserves a little more recognition is Delaney because that beam routine she did at regional finals, I firmly believe was the vibe shift that got you guys like over the hump of oh, we're like, no one fell at that point, but it was shaky,
Right.
whatever. But that was like the vibe click for me. So I would love to hear you give a little love to Delaney because I think she gets overshadowed sometimes and just what
Absolutely.
she's meant to Michigan State because she really has meant a lot to that program.
Yeah. I think the reason is she gets overshadowed because maybe she's not like as like energy. She's not really that hype woman like you think of Sky, right? She's
Right.
so energy all the time. But she's so even keel. And with Delaney, you always know what you're going to get. And she's so consistent. And so I think, for us, it's like when Gianna unfortunately got injured right before Big Tens, it was a no-brainer that Delaney could step into that position and compete at the highest level. One, because of just like I said, that evenness that she trains so well. It's like, that Delaney is going to stay on the equipment. She's going to deliver a really solid score. She's going to kind of be, like you said, that glue a little bit that maybe you didn't know that you needed. But I think people don't even really, I agree with you, give her enough credit. She's Delaney Harkness. She was an elite gymnast, like she was so good and still is, but I think people don't recognize just her path, how many, national championship she won at the DP level. Like she is a very distinguished athlete, and I think people don't really recognize that a little bit because maybe it's not the 995, 9975. I think she's always seen at this as this bar queen, but she really can do it all. I think she would tell you she would never want to vault, but the other events, she's so good and has been somebody that you can just rely on, and definitely wouldn't be the team we are if we didn't have her to be able to come back for this year to help us, check that box.
This year, when you guys were at Elevate the Stage, I remember having a conversation with you just about routine summaries. And one of the things that really struck me was the way that after you guys get routine summaries in meets, that you go back and you tell your student athletes exactly where their deductions were. And I remember specifically hearing you talk about it. I could tell that your student athletes were very receptive to hearing those little details that they can be working on to get closer to that 10, to get closer to that perfect score. Um,
Yeah.
and I think it's something to be said for that coach athlete relationship and everyone working collectively together towards those little details. But those details are what are earning you guys the ability to go and compete in the Elite Eight in this way. So over the course of this season, like how have those details really changed the game for you and on different events?
Yeah, I think sometimes you get those routine summaries back and you don't always agree with everything you see, right? But what we try to tell the girls is like, if they see it, then they see it, whether we agree with it or not. So we're just going to go back to work and make it even more undeniable. I think that's kind of how we try to use the routine summaries because obviously with judging, people have, not always happy with the scores that you get and you think something's a little bit better or, Sky, she just wants that perfect 10, man, so bad on floor and so many routines that you're like, man, I thought that was a 10 and for some reason it wasn't. And, I think the judges sometimes are like, really? She went 995 and you're going to do a routine summary? And I'm like, yes, because we want the 10, and so just to like even see, what the judges are taking to be able to go back and go to work, whether we really felt that they were there or not, it was like, hey, if they see it, it must be there. So we're going to do it. We're going to work even harder so that when the moment comes, it will pay off. And that's one of the messages we try to really continue, to say to the girls, because in some moments, right, you get discouraged with scores when you feel like you really nailed your best routine. We really talk about it's how you feel after a routine, not the score you see, because, sometimes you see the score and you're like, dang it, I thought that was so good. So it's like, let's not determine how good the routine was based off the score, but how we feel. And so that we try to really shift our focus with that because that keeps our energy up a little bit more and keeps us kind of where we need to be moving into the next routine and the next events. But really using those routine summaries just to try to make us undeniable so that when we are put under the same roof with some of the teams that we know would be competing against, hopefully it would all pay off, right? And we would continue to be able to do the big things that we wanted to do. And, knock on wood, so far, so good.
Oh, there
Yeah.
we go. Okay, Olivia, we
Let's
have
talk.
to talk about
We
leotards.
we have to. Let's talk about leotards. Can you tell us like When you are conceptualizing a new leotard, how do you think about that? Do you draw it? Do you look at prom dresses? Do you look at skating outfits? Like, what is your inspiration and how have, give us some funky inspiration stories that have gotten you to some of these masterpieces.
Okay. I wish I could say it's really crazy, but sometimes I have like an idea already in mind of like maybe a little bit of a concept that I want to do. Like I think for next year, I want to revamp one of an old Leo that we have, not like an old school Leo, but one that we had that we retired because the elastic is no more and it's not safe for anybody to wear, you know? But so just something like that to kind of continue to press the envelope with some old designs. But kind of mentioned it a little bit before. I really try to stay true to Michigan State. I think that's one thing that, I love that we're green and white. I love our colors. I think green is such a color right now. And so trying to, stay true to us while also making sure that you can tell when our leotard is new. I don't want anybody to be like, that kind of looks like an old one. Is that new this year or did they wear that last season? Right. So trying to find a balance. But then, yeah, just like I said, you guys put more pressure on me because I kind of freak out when designing. But I go on Instagram a lot, your search engine, you like see one thing and you click, and then more random things pop up. But it's a little bit of everything. Sometimes I will look at, honestly, kind of like Spartan specific, like armor or like, I don't know, just like Greek patterns or something that's actually specific to Michigan State, just to try to brainstorm ideas. Looking at backs, I'll be like cool backs or crisscross backs. It's not anything like absolutely crazy. I am not an artist. I cannot draw at all. So I kind of try to like, I'll screenshot like certain things that I like, or I try to draw and then I send it to Danielle, who is my rep through Sylvia P. But kudos to Sylvia P. A handful of years ago, we were with Alpha Factor and they are no more. And so in that moment, we were kind of floundering of like, what are we going to do? What company are we going to use? And Sylvia P was relatively new in that moment and reached out. And I had a Zoom and fell in love with just everything that they're all about in terms of just design and how they do things and kind of like the high end, high fashion type thing. And I've been very lucky that they have continued to push the envelope for us to make my kind of ideas come to life. But this year was cool. We tried to do something a little bit different in terms of kind of like monochromatic colors a little bit, and it just so happened to be that way. So we needed a new pink Leo. So our one pink Leo was all pink, just different color pink. And then with the green, I was like, my sister actually gave me that idea. She's like, you guys don't have an all green Leo. And I'm like, you're right, we don't, because we don't want to look like a booger, like so funny, right? But it's true, right? Like we're all green. I said, so there has to be like some cool texture or something going on with the green that makes it stand out. Black is easy to love. The girls actually in 2017, we made an all black Leo. And I actually
I
remember when
remember that, Leo.
it was like high neck, it was black.
Yes.
Yeah, and Skyla came on her visit, and I remember she was like, "I need to wear the black Leo for my pictures," and I was like, "That Leo's so old," and so I told them before they graduated that I would kind of remake like an all black Leo. So that was kind of it didn't look exactly obviously like it, but to have all black because everybody loves black. And then my favorite was probably the one that we wore at regional finals. So actually, that leotard wasn't even supposed to be that. I knew it was going to be kind of like that gunmetal-y material because, again, we've never done anything ever like that. But I wanted it to be like Spartan armor. So honestly, the leotard, like if you look, the ends of the sleeves go to like a point, and
Mm.
that to me was like the gloves, right? Like the gloves for the armor that you wear. And then the reason that there was mesh, because in my brain that was like skin, even though it's black, right? But it was going to be like the skin that you have nothing on until you have like your chest plate and like your literally like your chest armor with like the cap sleeves, because that would be like the shoulder pad, so that's why there's cap sleeves. And then obviously just the design throughout the body, but that was kind of the concept. Originally, it was supposed to have multiple Spartan heads, but this year our leotards have to go through branding, and they gave me a no-no on that because you just can only have one logo. But it ended up being the best thing because I went back to the drawing board, revamped it, and that was my favorite Leo of the season was the gunmetal, the armor Leo, and it was just perfect because I knew that obviously we'd be going to battle for a chance to be at the national championship. So for me, the story along with the Leo was just the perfect storm.
Oh my gosh, chill again.
Literally. Wow.
That story about that leotard is incredible, and everyone needs to take some notes on like the deep dive on this. And I will tell you, and I'm not trying to discredit you, the brand elements of Michigan State, like you can do those deep dives, right? Like
Yeah.
you can go into Greek mythology, you can go into like Spartan armor, you can go into all of these different pieces. Plus you have the green and the white, you can add the black, you can there's so many things that you guys
Yes.
have access to. Um, but I think that like the more that you think about those brand pieces, many decisions that were made on your leotards make perfect sense. Like
Yeah.
think about the back of the leotard. It's a big scoop in the back. I believe it's your Big Ten Leo from last year with
Hmm.
like with the
Has
zigzag
the,
lines.
yeah.
Yes.
And it
And
had,
like when I think about it, it actually matches your guys' shield.
yes.
Um, and you know, to some, I think it's always funny because I understand why you feel the pressure that you do, right? Like the leotard ranking situation and all that jazz. No, 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 no. Okay, no. Decisions like that are deliberate brand decisions that tell a story, I will always get behind. I will
Thank
always
you.
get behind. And we were even talking earlier on an episode with Ashley Nat from LSU. And I hammered the point home, like at the end of the day, as long as the student athletes feel incredible and feel proud of what they're wearing, and they're proud to wear those three letters of MSU on their chest in whatever way, shape, or form that is, that's all that matters. And I think that you guys do that in such an incredible way.
Oh, thank you.
Mhm.
Yeah, actually, a handful of years ago, I used to let my seniors kind of help me design at least one of the Leos. And then they started being like, "Yeah, you do such a good job. Go ahead," So, but I agreed. If they don't feel good, then that's where I kind of, make some moves. I actually didn't know if they were going to love the cutout shoulders of our Big Ten Leo. And I knew that would be an acquired taste because it's the cutout shoulders. But they absolutely loved it. They begged to wear that Leo. Actually, the 2 weekends before at senior night because they knew, and I was like, no, we're saving it for Big Tens. And they're like, please let us wear it. So they
Oh,
loved it. And yeah, they felt so fierce in it. And I'm like, hey, that's all that matters to me at the end of the day, as long as you feel good and you love it, even if the gym internet doesn't, hey, we love you, but can't win them all.
yeah, exactly.
Absolutely.
Exactly. Okay, my last question is there a new leotard happening this week?
You just have to wait and see.
Oh, not the cliffhanger curler.
Oh,
Fine. Okay, we'll wait and see. We'll
I
wait.
know. I know. Maybe. We'll see if there's something in the works for you all.
Okay. Okay, awesome. Okay, Olivia, take us home.
okay. Our final question with so much growth in the sport and opportunity for growth is when you look at how many people are starting to become gymnastics fans, whether it be from a gymnast themselves, from being an affiliate or a lover of a university, but still we're not getting everyone. And I know we all feel confident and very passionate about wanting more eyes on the sport. So what would you tell a fan who is new to gymnastics? What is one thing you would tell them about gymnastics that would make them become a fan of NCAA gymnastics?
Oh my gosh. One thing?
I know.
I know. One thing. I think it's so hard because I think once somebody actually gets in the stands, they're never disappointed. I think that's the best thing about gymnastics. Like it's so high energy. There's so much always going on that I feel like never a dull moment that you're sitting there bored, wondering what's next.
Right.
Even if you don't 100% understand the scoring or, some of the like little details, I think just the pure athleticism that these women do is absolutely incredible. And that's one thing that's so cool about gymnastics is that, no fault to any other sport or, that it's not as good, but you can't walk in and just be a college gymnast competing at this level. Like it is a lot of work and it's a lot of time and energy. And so just the pure athleticism, just that what goes into that, what they do is absolutely incredible. And so, why not gymnastics? Give it a chance because I know that they won't be disappointed.
Yeah. Oh, great answer. Great answer. I think something that you just said made me think about. I believe that universities that have gymnastics teams, many members of the student population are very proud that they have a gymnastics team on their campus. And that energy is one to be harnessed to be able to know that they feel the ownership, they feel the excitement, right? In the same way that they do over a football team. That when you have a gymnastics team on campus, and especially a gymnastics team that's performing well, that pride runs further than just, school pride. That runs deeper with the engagement of a fan sitting in the stands, engaging with the performance, the action, the athleticism, the showmanship that happens for the hour and a half gymnastics meet. And I think that I'm even sitting here thinking like that pride is something that we need to harness a little bit more of to make sure that those that are currently engaged with the sport also feel appreciated and feel so excited to continue to attend meets while we continue to find new people and new fans to come alongside and come and hang out with us through the journey. So
I agree with
this
you.
was actually the 19-minute touch warm up. So
We
I
get a
Okay, that's
neutral
not terrible.
deduction.
That's
we'll
pretty
we'll
good, actually.
We'll take the neutral deduction because this was awesome. And thank you so much for hopping on here. And we're just so excited for you guys in so many ways. And
Yeah.
I don't want that to sound like you guys are the dark horse or anything lower. You guys earned it. You are a top 8 gymnastics team going to compete in the NCAA Championship this week. And you are up there with the big guns, and your semifinal is going to be tough. But
It is.
it's that is part of the excitement of our sport that it's gonna be who shows up with the best mindset on that day, and whoever has that is gonna move on to the 4 on the floor, and it's gonna be an amazing time. So we can't wait to just watch what goes down and just get to experience witnessing the joy and the appreciation and the gratitude of your entire team that I know is going to come from the first moment they step foot into Dickies Arena. It'll be really special.
I know we can't wait. I think every moment leading up to this has really prepared us. And so I can't imagine that this weekend is going to be nothing more than special. So,
Yeah. Well, thank you, Curler. This was awesome.
yeah, thank you. No, appreciate it. Thank you guys. And I can't wait to see you. What day do you guys get in?
We'll be there on Tuesday.
Tuesday.
Okay,
Yeah.
perfect. Us too. Will you
Good
guys be at the
stuff.
banquet or?
Yeah, I'm hosting
Corey
the
will.
banquet.
Oh, yeah, you are. Duh. I knew that. I
I'm
knew
ho
that.
I'm
I'll
hosting.
skip on that, but I'll
Yeah.
see you on Wednesday.
Yeah, we'll see Olivia afterwards. But
Okay,
okay,
perfect.
let's close up this episode. That's another
Awesome.
episode of the 10-minute touch warm up in air quotes. And this is the On the Floor with Living Core podcast. Thanks so much for tuning in, and thanks, Curler, for being here. We're so excited about this, and let's have a fun week in Fort Worth. And stay tuned for another episode. We have got tons of great content coming your way that I hope you guys are learning lots about some amazing programs around the country because we're having a blast. Hope you guys are too. All right, with that, we'll see you guys later.